So we're going to begin practice this evening in sitting. So when you're ready, just if you've got a bolster, feel free just to come and sit up on your bolster. If it's more comfortable just to sit without, just come and sit in anywhere that feels comfortable. And we'll take just a moment to roll through the shoulders, just welcoming in this practice, just rolling the shoulders up to the ears and back around again. Maybe just starting to relax through the upper body, relaxing the hands, relaxing the elbows. And then coming to roll opposite direction, just taking a few gentle shoulder rolls here. And letting the hips just press down, letting go of any tension that we might be holding from today. And then come in to find some stillness, letting the hands rest onto the knees or the thighs, whatever feels comfortable. Perhaps inviting in a little bit of energy this evening with the palms up to the sky. And just letting the shoulders soften and relax. So we're going to take a few moments just to soften here, find some stillness. Before you come to the stillness, feel free to adjust a little bit if you feel a little bit irritable or feel like you just need to move. Feel free to find a position that does feel comfortable and then bring yourself into this stillness. Come and lengthen through the spine, softening your gaze or closing the eyes, whatever feels comfortable. And just starting to find some softness in the chest and the belly. We're working with the theme of water this week, one of the elements within our yoga practice. We're thinking about just allowing the body to cool, to soften, and perhaps allowing yourself just to let go. So as we're sat here in this stillness, is there anything that you can allow just to let go? Maybe that's tension physically, or even something from today that just didn't go your way. And you might like to draw into your mind just that idea of water, whether that's a vision of the ocean, the sea. Perhaps imagining as you breathe in, just the ocean waves rolling in. And as you breathe out, just the ocean waves rolling out. And we'll take a few moments just to breathe easy here. It's okay if the mind still feels a little busy. See if you can come back just to your breath. And perhaps visualizing those waves rolling in and rolling out. Softening through the jaw, through the cheeks, the nose and the mouth. And then we're going to take a full clearing breath here. So that's a full maximal inhale and a long full exhale. So perhaps breathing in through the nose, a full inhale. Filling the lungs, expanding the lungs, and then a full exhale. Just clearing the air, clearing your breath. And we'll take one more like this. So breathing in, full inhale in through the nose, full exhale, just out through the mouth. Lovely. Come and open the eyes, draw the palms together, just give the hands a little bit of a rub here, create a little bit of that warmth, that heat. And then we'll come just to do a little bit of work around the face now. So as I said, if you've got any glasses or hair that you want to tie back, feel free. We'll place a little bit of lotion just onto our hands and just start by working the lotion into your hands, just giving the hands a little bit of a rub. So just rolling the lotion around and then coming right to the forehead. So I'm just going to come a little bit closer so you can see. Right into the forehead. We're just going to start by sweeping through the forehead, just relaxing those lines around the forehead. And just take a few little waves here. As you do this, you can let the eyes just relax or the gaze just soften and just ease out any tension through the forehead, just coming right into the temple area. And as you draw the fingertips down and come to the temples, you might want to just pause at the end. And we're thinking about just gently, not necessarily dragging the skin, but just tension with those forehead muscles just to ease. Take a few more like this, just right from the center and just gently waving those fingertips out. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to work just with the first fingers in and around the kind of eye area. So come right into the center of the eye sockets with your first fingers, just sweep down and away, almost like you're circling around the eye socket. You can use 1 or 2 fingers just to do this. Again, just going gently with the skin, not forcing anything, allowing some softness here just through the fingertips as you go. And again, you can close the eyes and just notice what kind of pressure you want to apply. Sometimes it's nice just to allow a little bit of pressure to start with, and then just kind of softer pressure as you move out towards the temples again. So maybe a little bit firmer pressure, and then just gently pressure out as we come just to the sides. And we'll take a few just like this, waving to the side. And as we're doing this face yoga practice, just allow everything to soften into the face. Let go of any kind of tension in the nose, the mouth, the jaw. Relax the eyes. And then we'll come just to make a little hook with the first fingers. We're going to work around the top of the eyebrows now. So make a little bit of a kind of hook position with the first fingers. And then just using your knuckles, you can just start to wave across the eyebrows, or just slightly above the eyebrows, coming from the center, and then again out to the temples. So think about the pressure here, just allowing a little bit of pressure through the knuckles as you go. Again, just softening the eyebrows or closing the eyes as we do this. Keep breathing, keep softening, and just relax around the jaw. And we'll do a couple more here, just in that little hook position. And then last thing, just coming into the jaw area, we're going to sweep just up from the jaw again towards the sort of temple area. You can use 2 fingers to do this. So just coming right from the center and just sweeping up the jawline. Just taking a few little sweeps here. The other way to do this is you can make kind of an L shape with the hand, and you can come with a little L shape so that your palm kind of massages. So see either option with the hands, just to massage into that jaw area, jawline. Yeah, those things. Now I can see again. Couldn't see you all without my glasses. And we'll just do a few little sweeps here. And then we're going to go and massage just into the temple area. So 2 fingers, first and second finger, just finding that little acupressure point around the temple area. Just take a few little circles around. So fingertips just on the temples, just circling around. Again, you can apply a little bit of pressure as you do this. Just allowing the body, the belly to be nice and soft, the hips to be soft, and just taking a few circles, one direction and then the other. And then we're going to apply a little bit of pressure here whilst taking a few breaths. So same position with the hands, a little bit of pressure around the temples, gentle press into the temples, and then take a full breath in and out here. We'll take one more, pressure into the temples, breathing in, and full breath out. Lovely. Release the hands completely. Just take a little bit of a wiggle through the shoulders. Nice. And then from here, let's come down from what we're sat on. So if you're sat on a bolster, just come all the way down. And come and hug the knees into the chest, just giving yourself a little bit of a hug here, planting the hips down, just drawing the knees up to the sky, taking a moment just to pause here. Lengthen on up. We're going to take a few cat-cows in sitting. So in this position, drop the chin down to the chest, relax all the way down. You can bring the hands towards the ankles or the toes. So we're softening and rounding the back, and then just starting to lift on up, arching the back and waving the head and the neck forwards. Take a few like this, just rounding and softening, cat-cow and sitting. If you want to come back into that seated position, do feel free, whatever feels comfortable for you. But just working with the idea of just finding some flow. If you're feeling a little bit stuck, and perhaps physically or just generally, working with that idea of just moving nice and fluid, nice and free. Don't worry too much about what it looks like. Just go with what feels right. And you might like to start making the movements a little bit bigger. So finding a bit more of a wave into the spine as you come forwards, just starting to lift up a little bit more. And as you come down, really softening and rounding. So can you make those waves a little bit bigger? Lifting on up and then rounding a little bit further down. As we do this, take a breath in. And then just breathing on out as we exhale and round. Lovely. The end of the next little wave, we're going to come back into sitting, cross-legged or legs out in front, whatever feels comfortable. Taking the right hand down towards earth, just take a gentle sweep through that left shoulder, left arm to left ear, just stretching out through the side body. And with the right elbow, just allow it to bend. So thinking about just not locking those elbows out, really finding some fluidity and softness here. So you could bend into that right elbow as you come down. We're going to circle opposite direction. So if you've gone clockwise, anti-clockwise, so left arm to left ear, back round again, just taking a few sweeps. And again, you could come a little bit deeper, just taking a slightly bigger stretch as you wave on down. Nice. And then we'll come to the other side. So plant that left hand down now, sweep the right arm to the right ear, overhead, and we'll start just by going clockwise, maybe bending into that left elbow, easing out any tension through that right shoulder. I'm really stretching into the side of the body. So can you keep pointing your right shoulder, right collarbone up to the sky, rather than coming forwards here? So side body stretch. Opposite direction, bring the right arm to the right ear, but sweep opposite direction now. Bending again into that left elbow, just waving on round. Can you start to make those circles a little bigger, just flowing a little bit more? Coming back to center, interlace the fingers, drop the chin to the chest, round the back, come and C-shape the spine. Lifting up, lengthen through the back now, pushing the arms away from you, palms just facing down towards the crown of the head. Lengthen here, take a breath in. And on your exhale, breathing out, softening and rounding back down. So coming back to that little cat-cow motion, thinking about the arms lifting as you wave the head and neck and arch the back here. Maybe a little look up towards the sky or towards your palms. Dropping the chin to the chest and just rounding the back as you exhale. Let's take a few more, timing the breath as we go. So inhaling just to lift on up. And then exhaling to round down, softening the gaze, softening the belly, letting the hips just relax. We'll take one more. So breathing in, lifting on up, maybe a little glance up towards the sky. And then softening, exhaling and rounding all the way down. Releasing the hands, just give the elbows a little bit of a circle, the wrists a little bit of a circle. Yeah, just move into space here, create some space just through the shoulders. We're going to come into a tabletop position just to do a little bit of work through the shoulders before we come into more of those yin poses. So find a tabletop position on your mat, hands pressing down, knees just underneath the hips, hands just underneath the shoulders. And in that tabletop position, just allow the hands to really press down, spread the fingertips wide, soften the toes, take a few little waves through the hips forwards and backwards. Dropping the hips towards the heels, softening the elbows as you go. And perhaps we can start to create those little waves through the back as we're dipping down and then rounding back up again. So softening through the hips, bending the elbows, and then just waving back to center. So just move with what feels good. No right or wrong here. Yeah. And maybe you'd like to just take the hands a little further away from you now, just taking a few like that, almost like you're coming into a child's pose, and then waving and arching the back, a little bit like that cat shape in tabletop. As we go, we could take a breath out just to allow the hips to soften, and then breathing in just to come back to center. Lovely. At the end of the next one, let's come and meet with the hands back under the shoulders if you've walked them out. Taking the right arm into the air, keeping the left arm down. Let's take a tabletop twist, peeling the right arm up towards the sky, looking up as we go, and just opening up through that right shoulder. Take a moment to pause. Bringing the right hand underneath the right shoulder, same on the left side. So left arm peels into the air, right hand stays down, twisting through the middle of the back. Bringing the left hand back underneath the left shoulder. We're going to do that again, but this time we're going to sweep. So you're going to bring your right arm into the air and sweep your right arm underneath your left elbow to bring your right shoulder down. And then come all the way back into that tabletop twist. So rather than staying there like a thread the needle, just take it as a few little twists. So it's right arm in the air, right arm underneath the left elbow, peeling it down and then peeling it back up again. And you can go at your own pace. Remember, you can soften the elbow, soften the hips. Nice. If it feels a little much on that wrist, you can always do this just with your elbow down is the other option. If you're feeling like it's a bit too much on that shoulder, come onto the elbow, let the forearm come down. And once you've done a few on that right side, we'll meet back in tabletop position, just taking a few little waves to come almost off the wrists a little bit. So draw the hips towards the heels, just come off the wrists a little bit. You could press the fingers just into the earth and just lift the palms away from the floor, just to give the wrist a little mini breather. Taking those sweeps on the other side, keep the right palm down, left arm peels into the air. Sweep the left arm underneath the right elbow, bring your left shoulder down and just take a few sweeps like this. So again, you can go at your own pace. Perhaps just breathing out as you come down and closer towards earth, and then breathing in just to peel back up again. So lots of softness, lots of fluidity, finding some freedom here. Really opening up into that left shoulder. Nice. At the end of the next one, we'll come and meet back in that tabletop position. Lovely. And then from here, just come off the knees. You can come into the middle of the mat, back of the mat, but just come off the knees for a moment. And we're going to set ourselves up here just for our first pose. So we're going to bring our bolster just to the top of the mat. And we're going to bring the blocks the top of the bolster. So we're going to come into a variation of deer pose. We'll start on the left side. So if we bring our bolster towards our left hip, bring one block just underneath. And then the second block can kind of go just underneath the first block. So we've got a little bit of an elevation almost at the top of the bolster. Yeah. And there's a little bit of a gap kind of here. And we're going to start with the knees bending up towards the sky. We're going to drop onto the left and the right knee. So we're kind of just sat with the knees together here. And the bolster's nice and close towards that left hip. So option to be here with the knees. Second option with the knees is to bring the right leg around into that deer shape with the legs. So deer pose is here with the legs. But for some people, I know you struggle a bit with the knee. So if the knee feels a little tricky there, just come into that little position where the knees are together. So two options with the legs. We're then going to turn the upper body to twist and then allow our head and neck to relax onto the bolster. So your left cheek, left ear can come down and the side of the body is kind of resting on the bolster. The chest is resting and we're just floating ourselves down. If you've got a blanket or a cushion, feel free to layer it up on your bolster. That can sometimes work nice if you've got extra layers to hand. And once you're here with the feet, if you're in that deer pose position, see if you can connect your left sole of your foot somewhere on the right thigh. And we're going to find some softness here. So soften through the shoulders. The hands can rest either with the palms down or the palms up to the sky. Let those shoulders soften and melt away from the ears. And let's start to check in with our first pillar of yin, finding that stillness. And once you're here, just check in with the body. Is there any adjustments that you need to make to let yourself just soften a little bit more? And we're opening here just with a gentle twist through the middle of the back, gentle rotation into the hips. Invite in some softness. Is there anywhere here that you can just start to let go? Perhaps you could close your eyes, soften your gaze, and just relax all the features of the face. I'm going to take a few moments just in stillness here. your mind is still a little busy or chattering, I'd invite you to come back to that ocean breath, that wave of air in, tide just gently rolling in, and then wave of air out, ocean wave just rolling out. Taking a breath in and out here. At the end of your next breath, just come and gently turn the palms down if they're up and press the hands into the earth. Lifting the elbows up, we'll start to peel ourselves just slowly back to center. So we'll take it gently, starting by lifting the head and neck and just coming back to center to begin with. Great. Let's come and bring the knees to point up to the sky and the feet just resting down. And we've got two options here. If you've got a bit of room on your mat, you could just take a few little windshield wipers to invite in a bit of movement. Second option is just to come back to those little waves with cat-cow, dropping the hands towards the knees, the toes, ankles, and then waving back up, or maybe a little combination of both, whatever feels comfortable. Once we've created a little bit of that stillness, we find some really gentle movement. Okay, we're going to come to the pose on the other side. So I'm going to demonstrate by moving my bolster, but you guys will be fine if you just want to shuffle around. So your right hip bone is just resting right into your bolster. So you don't have to move your bolster and your props and everything. So you can just go the opposite way, just tucking the right hip bone in. And we'll do exactly the same options with the legs. So we could either allow the knees just to stack, ankles to stack, and tuck the inside of that right hip bone just right in. Or we could guide that left leg around just to allow some openness through the hip. So the left hip, left knee can be guided round. We're connecting the sole of the right foot somewhere along the left thigh. And again, it's a twist that we're doing here. So start to twist the body to face towards a bolster. Let the chest, the shoulder, the right ear this time come all the way down, right cheek come down. And again, your hands can rest. If you've got space, you could hug underneath the bolster, or hands can press down, palms could face up. So whatever option feels most natural, most comfortable. But just allow your cheek, your head and neck to be supported. This is a little bit more of a restorative pose, really. So we're finding just some softness here without having to push or force. Perhaps you can begin to notice if there is any resistance here. And in the end, we just come and find that resistance, find that edge. Not necessarily pushing past it, not forcing the body, but just listening and just tuning in. And you soften and melt just into the heart. And you really surrender just to being in this stillness. Perhaps closing the eyes, softening the gaze. And just breathing easy. That element of water just reminds us that it's okay to change, to evolve. We don't have to stay stuck or feel like we are stuck in any kind of way. Your breath and your body just move freely. Take a few more breaths. And again, before you come up, we'll just take a breath in and out together. So inhaling and then exhaling, releasing your breath. If you've got the palms up to the sky, turn the palms down, press the hands into the earth, start to guide the elbows away, and just slowly lift through the head and neck, almost like you're just easing yourself out here. Walking the hands back to the hips again, we'll guide that left leg around and we're going to release here just in a little seated butterfly. So you can leave the props where we are, draw the soles of the feet together, hug onto the ankles or the toes, just give yourself a little wave here with the knees. Nice. And with the props where they are, we're going to come into butterfly pose, but supported here. So again, a couple of options. We could adjust the blocks slightly so that you've got one stacked on top of the other and just propping the bolster up. That's going to give you a little bit more of an incline. If you have the props as we were, so kind of the two blocks together, you're going to be just a little bit lower with the back. So either option is great. We're going to tuck the hips just right into the bolster behind us, so your lower back is just nice and close here. And starting with the knees bent, so remember this is always an option. If you find that that butterfly feels a little intense here, you could always do this variation with the knees up to the sky. But starting to walk the hands, wrists, elbows down and just letting your head and neck float down. If you find that you need a little bit more support underneath your neck, feel free just to pop an extra layer there. But you can allow the back of the head just to soften here. And the hands can rest by the side of the body, opening up through the chest. There's a bit of an arch at the back. It's a chest opener, but also a hip opener here. So allow things just to feel a little bit softer at the front of the body. And then if you're happy with that leg variation, we could draw the soles of the feet together and just open the knees wide to come into that Supta Baddha Konasana. So just supported or lion butterfly pose. And the palms may want to face up to the sky, finding some softness just through the fingertips, through the arms. And again, once you've landed and arrived here, I always find with butterfly that I kind of need to adjust a little bit. So feel free to adjust. It's okay before we come to stillness to find a position that works for you. And can you allow the soles of the feet just to gently press together? Can you let the knees soften down and away? Soften the jaw here. And just come back to your breath. Element of water is really closely connected in Chinese medicine to the kidneys. Flushing out anything that we don't need, but also taking in the nutrients that we do. So perhaps just a little moment of gratitude for the fluid, the water, the circulation that we have within the body. An appreciation of those organs, the kidneys. All of those functions often happening without us having to even think, just doing their job, allowing the body just to function. And just checking with the back of the neck, so trying not to look over to the right or the left here, just keeping the back of the head connected in some way to your bolster or to cushion. Closing the eyes. Begin to take a few deeper breaths here. Really breathing into the center of the chest. Breathing all the way down into the belly and the hips. Take a full inhale and exhale. And we'll bring the hands to the outside of the knees, and we'll draw the knees just nice and gently together, letting the insides of the knees touch. And just take a moment here. We're going to come out of this by lying on our side rather than sitting ourselves up through the chest. So from here, any way it feels comfortable, just come and roll into the left or the right hip bone, and you can kind of just take a moment on your side here, just letting the head and neck rest. You could take just your hands to kind of frame around the ear or soften just into the head and neck, so you've kind of got a little pillow just to rest onto. So just rolling onto the left or the right side, just letting the side of the body just rest onto the bolster as it is. Maybe just stacking through the knees, ankles, bending the knees, and just taking a moment here on your side. Pressing your hands into the earth, let's guide our body into an upright position. And just taking your time just to let you feel the neck adjust. So we're going to come straight into a child's pose here with the setup that we've got. So come and guide yourself onto your hands and your knees. And again, a couple of options depend on what you've done already. We could stack the two blocks, just one on top of the other. So we've got extra bit of space to hold on to. Or we could keep it a little bit lower. So again, you could just go with one block actually. It's another option, just take the second block out. But we're going to come nice and close to the bolster, the knees apart, big toes together. Yeah, great. And again, if you've got any extra layers, sometimes I love doing this with a blanket on the bolster. Always feels like a nice little treat. So if you've got any extra layers, feel free. We're going to come and either hug and wrap the arms just around the bolster, bringing the right ear down towards the bolster. Or if you don't want to wrap your arms just around the bolster, we could let the hands rest like we normally do in child's pose. Again, just allowing the right ear, right cheek to come down. So two options with the arms, either hugging onto that bolster, letting the belly just relax here, or arms just out in front as if we're coming into that child's pose, but a little bit more supported. And there's no need to force here, there's nothing to fight against. We're taking this practice and allowing it to just ease the body. Find that sense of surrendering and softening. And again, once you're here and you've landed here, take a moment just to check in with the knees. Could you go a little wider? Do you need to adjust the bolster at all? Maybe you could tuck it in a little bit further. Are there any other little adjustments that just allow you to be a little bit more comfortable? We're going to stay here with the right cheek, right ear, just resting to the side. And you come back to all of those properties of water. Fluidity, freedom, softness, calmness. And now just to turn the head and neck to center. We're going to keep the legs where they are and just look over to the other side. So start to bring your left cheek, left ear down to your bolster. Again, feel free to adjust the arms. So if you're happy staying hugging on, you could stay here. Or if you want to just take the arms slightly further away from you, maybe just changing the position slightly, do feel free. Whatever feels comfortable. Yeah. But just turning the opposite cheek. Whichever one you haven't done, so left side if we're all doing the same side. Here we're breathing really into the back of the body. In a butterfly shape, we're opening and breathing into the chest, the front, but kindly breathe into the back of the body here. Just softening through the shoulder blades, the middle of the back, the lower back here. Coming now to take a full breath in, full breath out, when you're ready. Pressing the hands into the earth. Let's guide our upper body just into an upright position. Just come in to sit on the heels. So if this doesn't feel great, feel free just to come into seated with the hips. If you're happy here, then come and sit here. We're going to take a wide-legged cat-cow, so just in sitting. But again, feel free to just sit back on the hips if that feels a bit easier for the knees. Drop the chin to the chest wherever you are, just round through the back. And just come and take a few of those seated cat-cows, but with the knees nice and wide here. Yeah, so with the knees open, dropping the chin to the chest, round in the back. And then lifting the head and the neck up, great. And as you bring the hands forward, you can let the hands just rest onto the knees, fingertips just press down to find a little bit more of a stretch through the shoulders. So if you press your hands into the knees, just find a little bit more of an upper back stretch. And then glide the hands towards the hips as you arch the back and lift on up through the head. And take a few just little waves here, softening and rounding down. Lots of cat-cows tonight. Lifting up through the head and the neck, and then softening and rounding down. Okay, so we are going to come into a seated pose, which we did last week, seated dragonfly. So you're going to bring the legs just out in front of you, keeping the bolster where it is just to start with. So we did do this one last week. Legs out in front of you, either in a little mini V shape, or you could go a little bit wider, whatever feels comfortable. We're going to change the variation or position with the bolster. Start to bring the bolster just up towards the ceiling. And we're going to hug onto the bolster, so don't need blocks for this one. Keeping the feet wide, the knees apart, just come and give the bolster a hug and drop the forehead just onto the bolster. So we're resting the upper body down. Option to be here. I'm going to give you another slight variation on this actually. Bring the bolster onto the thighs, and you could just let the elbows come to here with the palms just resting in your jaw. So that's the other option. So we could be here, just resting down, yeah, or just holding and hugging onto the bolster, forehead then coming down. So either option is great. Once we're here, we're going to check in with the legs. So I've got you quite narrow to start with, just so you can find some softness in the upper body. So start by working out which position's best for the upper body. And then once you're here, let's see if we can heel toe the feet out a little bit to come a bit wider with the legs. Yeah, great. So the knees are pressing down. The toes pointing up to the sky. We're stretching through the back of the legs into the hamstrings, the calf, and opening up through the hips here. So find whatever feels comfortable. The closer you are with the bolster, slightly less intense it'll also be for the hips and the legs. The further away the bolster is, as you're leaning forwards, it's going to be a little more intense on the hips. Same for either position really that you're in. The further forward you are, resting down, or the higher up on the bolster with the elbows, slightly less intense. Yeah, great. And once we're here, come back to that stillness. Let your upper body really surrender to being here. Let your upper body let go of any tension. And you don't want to feel like you're kind of holding the bolster up here. You're almost, rather than having it like right upright, you're almost on like a little bit of an incline. Yeah. Just so you're not feeling like you're having to hold the bolster up. So come and just trust that the bolster is taking the weight either of your head or of your elbows. Props are here to support us in our yin practice. So just trust that they're there, helping support our body. We're going to stay here for about another minute. If you feel like you can go a little further, maybe heel toe the feet a little wider again, just nudging them out, maybe slightly further, so that the feet, the legs are a little bit wider. Yeah. So we're taking ourselves just to that edge, starting to find that resistance, almost where the hamstrings, the hips are maybe talking to us slightly. And you might find once you've been here that that resistance just starts to ease. It's a little bit like water, ebbing and flowing, just finding its way. And once that water's found that path, it starts to just flow a little bit more naturally. So let yourself just ease into this, not fighting it at all. Even if it's not your favourite yin pose. Yeah, and with your next breath, just let the breath leave the body. And we're going to start to lift up through the head and neck. So wherever you are with the elbows or with your forehead, then you can just start to kind of peel yourself away from the bolster. If you've got it upright, you can just gently guide it down towards the floor. Just leave the legs where they are for a moment. Just bring your bolsters kind of away. And then we're going to come and just move the legs one at a time. So if you guide the right knee just into a bent position using your hands, and then we'll guide the left knee just into a bent position again, just using the hands. Lovely. And then we're going to come onto our backs just to take a few windscreen wipers, but I'm going to get you to set up for our final pose before you come down, just so you don't have to sit back up again. So we're going to do a slight variation on mountain brook. You're going to use the blocks. You can do this long ways, you can do it short ways with the blocks, but I'll just show you. You're going to prep the blocks, end of the mat, and then we're going to put the bolster on top. So like this, like you're stacking it. I did try it before I turned the video on, and it is relatively stable for what we're going to do. So you can either go long ways or short ways, but in a moment we're going to lie basically with the feet just on the bolster. So set yourself just sort of up for that, long ways or short ways with the props. If you haven't got blocks to hand, you can also just do this on the sofa. It's absolutely fine. Just pop your bolster on the sofa. And we're going to lie down, allowing the head and neck to relax, just taking a few little windscreen wipers just to release to start with. So drop the knees from side to side, maybe opening up through the arms, taking the arms just off the mat, allowing the palms just to rest up to the sky. Just ease out any tension through the back, relax those knees just from side to side. And maybe you could turn the head and neck as well, so find some fluidity here, just floating from side to side. Come and hug both knees into the chest, just taking a bit of a knee hug here, just drawing the knees in, taking a little seed pose on your back, maybe hugging the knees into the chest and just rocking and rolling from side to side. Again, just gentle massage of the back. And then coming into that supported mountain brook pose, come and shuffle the hips down and just let your lower legs rest onto the bolster. So you want more than your ankles really on the bolster, almost like your calves are just resting. And you're allowing the weight of the legs just to rest onto the bolster. So the knees have a slight bend here. If you feel unsteady with the blocks at all, then feel free just to adjust them so they're lower down. And we normally do this with the bolster just underneath the knees, which is also an option. If that works better for you, feel free just to bring the bolster directly underneath the knees. But Mountain Brook is one where we want the lower legs to be nice and relaxed, nice and soft. So find what works for you. Just propping yourself up with the lower legs, allowing the knees to bend, yeah, and just letting the feet rest. So the feet are elevated, yeah, in some way. The feet are nice and soft. The toes can relax here. And it's a really gentle inversion. So inversions are where the hips are higher than the heart. And inversions just allow us to drain any kind of tension away, particularly from the back of the legs. And we could let our hands rest by the side of the body, or we could take them out like we're fanning them out like the wings of a bird, just to open through the chest. But just finding some softness here. You could come and begin to close the eyes. Perhaps finding some softness into that chest area again, into the shoulders. With another pose where we're trusting the props to take our weight to support us. Tension just around the toes, the ankles, the base of the feet. So to come out of this, just come and place one sole of the foot down to the floor at a time. So if you bend your right knee, you can just pop the sole of the right foot down, and then you can just guide the left foot off. So we can leave the kind of props where they are and just allow the soles of the feet to come down towards earth. Reaching the arms above the head now, allowing the arms to lengthen, just stretch into the top of the mat with the arms. And again, just coming back to those little windshield wipers, but this time with the arms above the head. So really lengthening through the back, dropping the knees just from side to side here. And maybe allowing the soles of the feet to come up off the earth and letting the knees be a bit wider this time. So can you take those a little bit wider with the windshield wipers? Maybe just taking the feet to the corners of the mat or the sides of the mat, just to really open up through the hips here, rather than keeping the knees and the ankles glued together, just opening up a little bit more. And again, can you move the head and neck opposite side, just finding some softness through the back of the head. Go and draw the knees back into the chest, just taking hold of the top of the knees or maybe just below. We're going to take a few little knee circles here just to finish. So the ankles can stay together, the knees can stay together, and just use your hands to guide the movement around. So finding some softness into the hips. Just draw some circles with the knees, using the hands to guide the movement. And then can you start to make the circles maybe a little bit bigger? Just drawing the knees away from the chest. And then starting to circle opposite direction again, we'll bring the knees just away from the chest a little more. Just guiding the movement with your hands. And then coming to stretch the legs into the air, lengthen one leg at a time, and maybe just give the back of the legs a little bit of a wobble, circle into the ankles. So just a little bit of a legs up the wall stretch to finish. Rubbing into the back of the legs. Oh, that was my ankle. Circling through the toes. Maybe just drawing the toes down to the head and then pointing the toes away. So just flexing through the feet, just really elongating through the back of the legs. And then bending one knee at a time. We're going to come into Shavasana from here. So feel free if you'd like to use the option with the bolster underneath the knees. That can be nice just to finish. So you could come and put bolster just underneath the knees. Or feel free just to lie on your side, on your belly, whatever feels comfortable. And just making yourself really as comfortable, as warm as you can be. So do take the time just to turn out any lights. If you've got an eye bag, I know it's still quite light. If you've got an eye bag or just something to pop over the eyes, feel free, or at least just turning out anything bright or anything that's going to distract your attention. Maybe taking this opportunity just to put your phone in another room if you can do. And just really coming to soften and to tune in. And at the end of our relaxation practice, if you want to just take a little bit longer, then feel free to take a little bit longer. You don't have to come up into sitting and say goodbye or anything. So gathering in anything you need now, just to find a comfortable, easy position. Taking us to this place between being awake and being asleep. Making yourself as comfortable as the body can be now. Placing a blanket anywhere that allows the body to soften. And coming to close your eyes now. Begin by visualizing the four walls of the room that you're in. The ceiling, the floor, and your body simply resting here in this space. Notice that space around you. Simply feel the space that you're in right now. Feeling the support of the ground, the earth, gravity, allowing you to feel weighty, sinking in towards your mat. Reminding yourself here that you are being held, you are supported. Moving your awareness now, just softly through each part of the body as I say it. Softening into each area, just gentle awareness. Softening now into your eyes, lips, your jaw relaxed, your throat, chest, belly and legs all at ease. Feeling your whole body start to relax. Your hips, knees, ankles and toes. Softening your shoulders, elbows, wrists and hands now. Nothing for you to do, nowhere that you need to go or be. Allowing yourself just to simply drift. Letting go of thoughts of the day. Simply being aware just of your body breathing here. Letting your awareness just sweep from head to toe, a wave of relaxation. Beginning now to count down from 10, in 10 breaths. One breath is a full inhale and a full exhale. Taking a breath in and out. 10. Inhaling and exhaling. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Come and imagine you are lying by the ocean. The waves blue and vast. No limit or boundaries. And you're resting, just listening to the waves. Gently rolling in, gently rolling out. The body is soft, the mind is calm. And there's a gentle crashing of the waves, the tide. Just listening to the sound of the water. The glistening of the blue sea. The softness within your breath and the air. And to relax all effort of the breath. Just letting the breath rise and fall at its own pace, of its own accord, of its own rhythm, just like the waves. When and if you feel ready to come back, just slowly deepen your breath. You may wish to gently move through the toes, through the fingers, but no rush at all. Feel free just to stay here, breathing with the waves, with your breath. I'll leave you just with a little poem, a few words. Release tension to invite in relaxation. Release fear to yield courage. Release resistance so you can flow and maintain your energy. Release indecision so you can cultivate certainty. Release busyness to encourage healing. If you're ready, you could come and gently roll onto one side. And just make your way into sitting